Jefferson County, Birmingham, and I started the school in 1920. We lived on 8th Avenue and 26th Street, and we moved from there in 1928 to Inglenook. Now I can go back and tell you different things. When I went to Powell School, our playground was East Park. And the only way the kids back in that time would walk all the way over to Shades Creek to go in swimming. We did that one year, and after that, well, they built the boys' club, a two-story building with a big swimming pool. And that's where all the kids would go in swimming then. And I went to school there moved from there, and I guess it was about 1928 we moved from 8th Avenue and 26th Street. At the time, my daddy worked at the stoneworks with his brothers, and we moved to Inglenook and had a nice home there. And I went to Inglenook School and part-time to Boyle School 2 years. And I think about I finished Inglenook School in 1931. We moved from Inglenook to Mount Pinson and lived 2 years. That was during the heart of the Depression. And I went to Phillips High School at that time. And I went 3 years to Phillips High School, and I quit and went to work and worked in the stoneworks till from 1954 up to 1957. And wages wasn't very high then, 30 cents an hour when I started out making. And finally I got a job at U.S. Steel. And I worked there 38 years. And in 1937, November the 6th, I got married. Me and Ree got married. I went with her about 4 months, I believe. And we married and moved out on our own. And it was hard for a few years, but we finally made it. And we built a home in 1954. We moved from Mount Pinson back to Norwood, and we stayed there a while. And after me and Ree married, we bought us a house in the Inslee Highlands, and Connie finished her last 2 years in grammar school from there. And we lived there 4 years. And then moved back to Forestdale. and we built 3 different houses in Forestdale. And after so many years, we sold that house. The last one we lived in 27 years, we sold and moved to Helena. And we've been here in Helena 6 years. Now I could go back and tell you some awful things that happened to me back in the younger days. When we lived on 26th Street, they were building a bakery right across the corner from us called McGough Bakery. And they had some scaffolding up the side of the building, and kids has got to climb. And I was climbing up the side of that building. It got up on a 2x12, looked like about 10 feet long or 12. And it come loose, and down I went, and that 2x12 right across my left leg and broke my leg. And then I wasn't satisfied with that. After about 3 months of laying up with a broke leg, when it got well, I was walking across the street there at 8th Avenue and 26th Street and got run over by a Model T Ford. That was all that was running back in them days. And all it done was skid me up a little bit when I did that. They carried me, so I don't know who carried me, but anyway, they carried me to town to a doctor's office, and the main thing that hurt me was putting mercurochrome or iodine on them skin places on me. And I was back out on the street playing 2 hours time. And let's see. When me and a bunch of kids, we was always rambling somewhere, and we walked all the way to the Birmingham Waterworks. You know how far that is. Mm-hmm. We walked all the way over there and didn't think nothing about it. Well, we went way up in the back of that waterworks, and it was at muscadine season. And I climbed up a old pine tree where the big vines was, and I stepped on a limb. I guess I was 20 or 25 feet up, and the limb broke, and I fell and hit flat on my back. And I don't know, it didn't hurt me. I got up and walked all the way back to Birmingham from over there. And later on, after we moved to Englewood, I tried a swing. We had a swing fixed, and the rope tied in one tree, and get back up in another tree with a paddle on the end of the rope, and you had to stand on a limb and straddle that rope before you could come down swinging. And when I got up to stand on that limb to straddle that paddle, that limb broke, and I fell from there and broke, on my side and broke 3 ribs. And they had to carry me to Tarrant City and plaster my whole left side up. Then I had to put up with that for about 6 weeks before I could get around to do very much. And I've had some pretty hard times when I was a kid.
Sounds like it.
Well,
how much, back when you were making 30 cents an hour, how much was a loaf of bread back then?
dime.
Dime?
Buy a nickel loaf even.
Oh.
Buy a nickel loaf of bread. You could buy a dime loaf of bread. And they just had started slicing the bread. They had a machine in the window of that bakery that I was telling you about it. And you could go over there and watch them putting bread in there, and that machine sliced them. And back them days, you get a quart of sweet milk, 15 cents. Buy a pint for 7.
Well, what did a gallon of gas cost back then?
Gallon of gas. After I went to work, my daddy helped me buy a Model T Ford from a fellow up there at Mount Fenton. I get 4 gallons for 48 cents. 12 cents a gallon.
12 cents.
And of course that was back in hard times, depression years. I paid him $125 for the car, and my daddy helped me buy it. And I kept it, I guess, a year, and then hard times come up, and I went back and sold it back to the guy that I bought, Hubert Rodham at Mount Penson. He run a car dealer. Sold it back to him, I think, for $75. And let's see.
Well, how much did your first house cost you to build or buy?
The first house we bought was over at Inslee Highlands. 3 bedrooms, hardwood floors, and full basement. $12,500.
Was that the one on Avenue S in Inslee?
Yeah, on Avenue S there.
Okay.
That's still there. A black man got that house, and he's done a whole lot of brickwork out in the front yard of it. Or did, that was back a long time ago. And then when we come back to Barksdale, I had one built, 16,000. 3 bedrooms, full bath. They had a half basement. Well, at that time, quick as I bought that house, hadn't been living in it 3 months, I don't believe. The steel strike, 59 steel strike, was out of work 114 days, steel strike, in 1959. And I had to sell that house. Took a house in Norwood, some people. I took it in on the swap with the new house, and I kept it. And finally, after the steel strike, I never did move in that house in Norwood. And yeah, I had it rented. I rented it. And after the steel strikes, I sold that house in Norwood. I think I lost $500 on it. And we moved back. We were still in Forestdale. We bought us another house on Rose Hill Road. It was $16,000. And it was 3 bedrooms, hardwood floors, and full basement. And we lived there, I think, about 9 years. I made a profit on them. Every time I sold, I made, well, it was $16,000, the first one, or second one. And we sold it, paid 16, and sold it for 25. And then we moved on from Rose Hill Road to Carey's Drive. That's where we lived before we moved here. Well, it was 16,000, and I had a big den built, and another bedroom, and a carport built onto that. And we lived there, I think, 27 years. And property values went up. And I got ready to sell it. The FHA approved it for $96,000. Well, all the other houses in there, except one or two whites, was black. And the black man and his wife wanted that house, especially the man. And I let them have it for $91,000 just to get out of it and move down here. So I made a pretty good profit off of it. And I made enough profit off of it that I think I had some money saved, and I had enough money to put with that, and when we bought this house, I had enough to pay cash for it. And so that's about all I know.
Well, back when you were growing up, did you ever see the Ku Klux Klan or any parades that the Ku Klux Klan had?
Yeah, Ku Klux. Well, we lived on 8th Avenue and 26th Street. About 1923. About once a week. I don't know if it was close to the weekend or mostly I imagine it was close to the weekend. And then, in them times, most people drove those Model T Ford touring cars. They had a running board on both sides. And they're two-seated. Two sit in the front and two in the back seat. Well, them Klansmen were dressed in their white robes. Each one had a torch that long, and it'd been soaked in kerosene or gasoline or something. And whenever they started out, all of them lit them torches. And they'd go down 26th Street, at least 10 cars in a line of them, that many of them. And they'd go around to the black quarters and go around through them. Just to let them know they had to stay in their place, I guess. And of course, when I was coming up, all I ever heard was an N-word. There wasn't no other word but N-word. And I guess the other word started probably around 1960. And I never went to school with any blacks. And I guess that probably started in the 60s. So that's about it, Luke.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Huh?
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 2 sisters and 1 brother. My daddy died in 1959. My oldest brother, he died in 1959. He was 57 years old. And he had been working in the stone works or breathing that stone dust. And it got in his lungs, and he smoked cigarettes too. And they gave him emphysema. And he was still working he worked at the stone yard here for a while. They was paying 50 cents an hour, what my daddy and them was making. And, he could go up to Gary, Indiana, and places up there, they'd make $1.25 an hour. Now, that's what he done. He never did come back here very, very seldom, just busy. Finally, they moved to Bowie, Maryland. And he would go to work in the morning and work at the stoneworks there and make a shift working in it, and then the evening shift he had a job as fireman on diesel engine there in Washington, and all they done was make up trains, you know, passenger cars and switching them around and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he held that job a long time until he just got so bad, why he just had to quit. And he didn't last too long. He wasn't but 57 years old.
Hmm.
And then, let's see, he wasn't the oldest. One of my sisters, Opal, he died, and she was 94. She's the last one. And before she died, Onita died, 87, I think. She was 87. And then Opal died. She was 94. She lived over in Rome, Georgia. And now I'm the youngest. I'm the only one left. And now I'm 90. And I don't know how long I'm gonna live.
Long time.
They give me a pacemaker. Some of them said, you somebody more than up 20 years.
Yeah.
I said, if I wear this thing 20 years, I'll be 110 years old.
Tell him to tell who his brothers and sisters'
And
children
my
were.
brother's daughter, he had 2 boys and a girl. And the girl called here last week, and she's wearing a pacemaker. She was born in 36. And they live up there in, they out in Baltimore. They live in some kind of a camp, fishing camp, I believe. The other two, one boy is living down in Florida somewhere, and one of the boys, I think he finally must have divorced, because the girl that called says he spent a whole lot of times. She said he had him a cabin in West Virginia, and he goes there and stays.
Hmm.
Got it fixed up like he wanted, I guess. He goes there and stays by himself. And she's talking about my brother when she wrote that card. He done a whole lot of stonework on that cathedral there in Washington. Big church.
Yeah.
He did a lot of stonework on it.
Tell who Opal's children were and who Onita's daughter was.
That's about it with my
Well, tell us about Opal's children.
Opal. Let's see, Opal, she had 2 girls and 2 boys. And let's see, one of the girls was named Jean, and the other one is called her Bobby. And I guess Bobby was, I don't know whether she was the youngest or the oldest. But anyway, Jean lives up in, let's see, pretty close to Canadian line. Up
Saint
there where
Marie.
it's cold country.
Yeah, Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, Sault Ste. Marie, that's where she lives.
Yeah, Michigan, okay.
She's got a fine looking boy. He's finished college, I think. Well, no, I've never seen him. I never talked to him. I just seen pictures of him. The other two girls, they come up the hard way. They're in Rome, Plainville. They work in the silk mill. That's about the only jobs people around there could get then, working in them silk mills, cotton mills. Finally, Bobby got, her last job was with Walmart there in Rome. So, the other two boys, they never did nothing. I don't know what's wrong with them. They never were able to hold no job or nothing. They just, there and Bobby taking care of them.
Mm.
Of course, they're old men now.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know if this wasn't right or something, I don't know. I never was around just when we went over and visited one day and back. I don't know.
What about Oneida? She had one.
Oneida had one girl, that's Pat, Patricia. And they live in Panama City. And Pat has one child, one girl. And she lives in Panama City. And they don't live on the beach. At one time they lived on the beach, but they sold out and moved into what they call Woodlawn, I believe.
Hmm.
And Pat said they built a pretty big house, her and Stan, and finally they sold that house and moved in something smaller, I think. Pat didn't want to be left with something big house like they were living in, so I don't know how long Stan. He was a captain in the Navy. And they come to Birmingham. They got a boy here, lived at, I believe he lived between here and Montevallo.
Yeah, that'd be
And
my.
he works over at Bell South.
Yeah.
I guess he's still working over at Connie says.
Ricky.
I don't never see him.
Well, what about her other boy, Ricky?
Ricky, let's see now.
He teaches school in the
Trying to figure out. Oneida, the only child Oneida has was Pat.
Yeah, and Pat had.
That was Pat's children.
Yeah, Pat had.
Yeah,
Pat had
Mike
three
and
children.
Ricky.
Yeah,
Mike and Ricky, that's Pat's children.
yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. Ricky was,
teaches
I
school
don't
in
know
the-
if he's got something to do with education or maybe in the education field, I don't know. And I don't know what Mike's doing even. He lived here in Birmingham at one time over at Norwood. But they moved from there. I couldn't keep up with him. So that's about all the family.
Well, what about your two daughters?
And I got two daughters. I wouldn't take a brass penny for them. I couldn't be without them. I wouldn't live as long as I have if it hadn't been for them, I know. Taking care of me. And now, these doctors I go to is the only thing keeping me going, I reckon. You know, when I first went to Dr. Mills, it's been about 2 years ago. The first time I went there and he examined me, he told us to call us all over there to his office. Said I had prostate cancer. Well, every 4 months since then, I've been getting a shot.
Yeah.
And the last 2 times I've been there, he examined me, and he couldn't feel no cancer or no tumor or nothing in me, he said.
Right.
That's what he's told me the last 2 times I've been. I think I go back in February for the shot. Well, them shots is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But just lucky I got good insurance. I get the bill, I get a Medicare bill. What they got on that bill, $2,400. That's a whole lot of money.
Well, it's worth it though if it's doing the job.
Yeah. Well, you take this pacemaker now. This doctor, I ain't never seen this doctor but one time. I've been over at his office twice. All the nurses wait on me. Over last week. When I got the bill from that job, I stayed in that emergency operating room one day. The next day, they put me in a semi-private room with another boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
Whenever I got a bill, the bill for the, like Bray, the one that done the operating pacemaker, bill was $40,000.
Hmm.
And another week after that, I got the bill from the hospital for what they've done while I was in there. It was $20,000, so both of them together for this thing, $60,000. I didn't have to pay a nickel. I don't know, we just been out there 3 or 4 days, and I got the bill the other day. Didn't have to pay a nickel of it. But it's pretty good. I got the best you can get. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield and Major Medical
Yeah.
of Pittsburgh. And it went up this year, $51. I was paying $226 for this last year.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna be paying $277.
Mm.
And then the steel company's paying for it. I don't know how much they pay,
Yeah.
but they must be paying a lot, because I ain't paying a nickel. I
Hmm.
mean out. Once in a while, what Medicare don't pay, they say I may have to pay maybe $15. The week after I get their notice, I get one from Pittsburgh showing they wrote the check, paid it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing pretty good with that insurance.
Yeah. Sounds like.
I couldn't afford to change insurance. They've sent me a half a dozen different kinds, senior citizens, and I don't know. I got a book here with all them doctors' names in it. I've had them a couple of years, had 2 of them. So
Well, on now you got 2 daughters, Charlotte and Connie.
Charlotte and Connie, and
And,
Connie's got 1 daughter, and her name is children, a little girl named Erica, and a little boy named
Adam.
Adam.
Yeah.
And I think Adam's 14 and Erica, I believe, is about 17 or getting close to 18.
Yeah.
And they're going to school. Adam has started to Gun Carroll High School, and Erica is in her last year there of high school. So I don't know what they're going to do at the end of this term, where Erica will be going to school. May wind up going to UAB, I don't know. And I guess that's about all I know. That's about our whole deal.
Tell where they were from?
He run a planer machine to cut stone.
Tell it, what was his name?
It's pretty instant work.
I bet it was.
Yeah, he run a planer. Maybe they put a slab of stone, maybe it's 4 feet wide. When the first they get a block of stone, it comes in blocks maybe, I'd say 12 feet long and about 5 feet high. They come from a rock quarry in the western part of Alabama, Rockwood, up in that part of the country.
Mhm.
Rockwood, Alabama, a stone quarry. And they take them big blocks, and they had what called a gang saw. And they put that big block on it's on a thing with wheels where to roll. They rolled it into where they want it, and they lowered blades. Blades is steel. They're about that wide, and about 15, well, maybe about 12 feet long. They can put them blades in there and know what size slabs they want and space those blades. And they get it all fixed like they want, and the man that operates that gang saw usually takes about 24 hours to cut through all the way to the bottom of one, and them steel blades, high carbon steel, they ain't got no points or nothing. It's just a blade, you know.
Yeah.
And sand and water is running on it the whole time at that machine, just back and forward. And that man got a lever, he can keep lowering the thing down as it cuts down. And goes all the way to the bottom. Usually it takes 24 hours to do it.
Well, what was your mother and daddy's names?
My mother's name was Bertha Shower Reed. And my daddy's name was Albie Watson Reed. And he had about 6 brothers.
Where were they originally from?
All of them was originally from up in Indiana. That was the old home place. And they all left there. My Uncle Jess, and my daddy and my Uncle Will, and Uncle Winnie, and my daddy's sister was married to a man named Marvin Lyons, They all moved here from up in Indiana. Corden, Indiana, I believe. And started a stoneworks down there on 8th Avenue and 13th Street in Birmingham. Just a small place.
Mm.
And after so many years, they moved to 8th Avenue and 30th Street and built that big stone works building and went into it right, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, gang of men working then. That big fire they had in Birmingham in 1935, I believe, the Loveman building burned down. It was a wooden building. That's one of the biggest fires ever been in Birmingham. And when they built that building back,
Do you Friday?
when they built it back, why, Reed Brothers got the contract to do the stonework. That building's solid stone on the outside now.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it don't call Loveman's now, it's Civic, it's McWayne Center. But you can still see that it's stone. Looked like stone put, maybe that stone, I believe was about 4 inches thick and about nearly 4 foot square. And we had so many of them things, there wasn't room there to stack them inside the yard where they had a crane to do it. Had to take them on the outside on the vacant lot. And went out there and 4 men, one on each corner of them things. I figured I was on one corner of them too. Had to take them, stack them up out there.
Hmm.
Take it, we put down one and had some little thin stones, I guess an inch thick. We put under each corner and set them things down and get your hand out. Wouldn't knock no corners off of them, but if you did, they wouldn't have them. But that was hard work. Yeah, it was hard work back then. Of course, when I went to U.S. Steel, it wasn't nothing near as hard as what I had been doing. I worked my way right on up to U.S. Steel. I went in there and started out labor. And then 45 cents an hour. In about 3 months, I started catching out on them switch engines. Had little switch engines there to pull them molds and steel from one building to another. And anybody laid off, I catch a shift switching. I catch a shift sometimes on the pouring table where they poured steel. Helper. And I got a job of helping on them ladles I worked on. They had the first ladleman and he had 2 helpers. And I worked as a helper on and out. So I was working 3 different jobs. I was just learning. You might say, and I was making 57 cents an hour. And it didn't take me no time to, the war started. And they spent all of 39 when I started working there. And all that steel, all them furnaces, they had 9 open hearth furnaces and 6 big blast furnaces. It all been sitting there idle, I don't know how long. Well, anyway, they knew that war was going to start, so they had bricklayers and everywhere to come in here and rebuilt those blast furnaces and the open hearth furnaces. All the brick, the inside lined with fire brick.
Mm-hmm.
Got them all ready to go. And I guess I worked a hepping a long time on them ladles. Finally, one of them ladlemen, top man retired. All of them mostly were Italians that come there and started to work there, and I imagine around 1904 when TCI had it.
Mhm.
TCI had it when I first started there, and then U.S. Steel bought it from them. And I got the top job there, and I was working had to work 2 jobs. I worked on them ladles, had to get them ready to pour steel in. And if there's 2 of them furnaces tapped out at the same time, one of them ladles held around 180 tons, molten steel. And Crane bring it to the pouring table, and they had molds lined up, about 24 molds on small cars. 2 molds on each one of the little old cars they had, and it was narrow gauge.
Mhm.
And maybe the steel poured have a half of his heat poured, and another one tapped out. My job was to let him off, so I had to go pour the other half of it. Sometimes 2 of them tapped together, I had to go up there and pour the whole thing. Besides doing the ladle work. But that's the way the job was, and I fell into it. Got a whole lot of things the easy way that hadn't been doing the easy way. When they worked 3 to 11 shifts, or even any shift, sometimes they get a big skull in them ladles that's be just like a big, I don't know, if the steel is a little bit cold on the ladle, sometimes it'll make a skull that'll come all the way to the top of that ladle. And you can put water on them things, more water. If it's soft heat steel, you can turn the water full force in there and knock some of the red out of it, and it cools it down some. Then I get the crane, set that thing up in the pit. Got a 16-ton round iron ball. I get that ball set on there, back and forth and around there. Turn that thing up there and dump it out real hot. They hadn't been doing that. And another way, when that 3 to 11 shift, I had to dig all them bricks out of a ladle. It'd get about 20 heats on them, they had to be dug out and relined again. And had what they call dig them down. 3 to 11 shift done that. And I get up there and dig about 3 or 4 rolls of bricks out right around the top. Take a hose pipe and shoot a whole lot of water down in behind that thing, get it wet good, and I get that crane, get that ball, start down in there and drag it up the side real good and pull them bricks loose. Go about halfway down on it and put a whole lot of water in there. He turned up, wasn't nobody looking. He bumped it against something else and knocked the whole works out.
Yeah, it made it a lot easier than digging them out one at a time.
Yeah. I've made a lot of shortcuts there. Anytime I'm on schools, I have to have a millwright come down there and burn part of it, split it, and burn a hole in there 2 different places to get a hook in and pull. Anytime I need the millwright, the boss down that pit had a millwright put his burning torch, His outfit, he rolled his own everything right there in the back of that furnace. If I blowed that whistle 3 long blows, I didn't have to wait 5 minutes. He's down there. So they lined him up. Some days, according to how them furnaces tapped, you might get by with 5 ladles. Next time, you might have to make 8. Tap to a shift. 2 each a shift. They didn't used to do that when I first started there. And TCI on that place, they was heating them furnaces with coal tar and gas. And took them about 6 hours to make a heat it. And that was putting melted pig iron in the blast furnace. In the furnace they had a small thing, I guess it maybe holds about 25, 30 tons maybe. And they roll that engine, roll that thing right up in front of the furnace, and the crane hooked the back plate back on there to hook it, and they pick up on it and dump it in that furnace. They usually put about 5 pots in there. That was back then. Now they come along and start using liquid oxygen. And when they started that, they had a tank down there by the block. They brought that stuff in there on a truck, liquid oxygen, and you put it in that tank. And they had a pipe, I guess 4 inches around, that run from down there by the block all the way up there to the open heart to them furnaces. And by the time that stuff got to them furnaces, it turned to a gas. And now, later on there, instead of putting all that metal in there like that and having to wait about 6 hours for it to get where they wanted it, they put slab steel in there, great big old pieces of slab of steel cut off of ends or something. Slabs, oh, I guess some of them be 5 foot long, maybe that thick, to pile 50,000 a pound in a furnace, and bring the metal right on up on top of it. And you can just stand up there and watch that stuff pulverize. Turn that liquid oxygen on that furnace, melt that stuff right on down, no time at all.
Melt it like hot butter.
Yeah, tap it out and get it ready at 2850. That's what they usually tapped on, 2850. And they make the best rails in the country. That's the only finished product they made there. Where I was working right across the road from where I worked at a rail mill.
Well, what does that 2850 mean?
2,850 degrees.
Oh, okay.
That's how hot it was.
That's hot.
Liquid, pour like water. Fill up one of them molds in a minute. Whenever I poured a lot of them like me, pouring. I poured that stuff, fill up one, I had to holler at the crane, move the next mold. Move the next mold, and I slammed that rod down, had a pipe. I guess it had a rigging thing fixed on the side of that ladle like a jack. And had a iron pipe, I guess it was about 2 or 3 inches around. You put that pipe on there and bear down on it, and that pushed that rod up that was inside to let the steel out. fill up the next mow.
Well, we got just a few minutes left on this. Anything else you wanna add?
Well, yeah, I'm still working. I quit working in 1977 with 38 years service with U.S. Steel. And I've been retired since 1977. And that's, I guess, about 30 years or more now. And I've enjoyed every bit of it. I don't do nothing but sit.
Well, then you highly recommend retirement then.
Yeah, I'm living out my retirement.
Well, that's good. You've earned it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I do have to do no hard work. I ain't able to do none on account of this thing here. I can't do no hard lifting. I'm afraid I'll mess it up.
Yeah,
You know, there's a little wire runs from that thing to
Yeah.
your heart.
yeah.
I ain't had no trouble. Had to go there last week to have it checked.
Mhm.
They checked it. No trouble at all. I don't think I'll have to go back again now for maybe 3 months or more. But the other part that they do, they give us a thing, I guess it's about that big square. And I set it right here. And they got 2 armbands with it, things. It's wired to something. They got one put on my left arm and one on my right. I put them things on my arms. And if Charlotte's here or Connie, whichever one, she gets on that phone, they got a number to call. She calls that place and gets them, tells them who she is and that they're ready to go. And when they're ready, they tell her what to do and take that telephone receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You got a place to lay it on that machine thing you got.
Yeah.
Lay that machine on there and they can check it at the hospital.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to go up there every time.
That's good.
It'll take 5 minutes.
Well, any words of wisdom you want to put on here for Adam and Erica?
Yeah, I love my granddaughter and my little boy, Adam, my little grandson. Like for him to come to see me.
Okay.
I like to see Jerry. I haven't seen Jerry in a good while, or Dawn, neither one. I like for all of them to come. Now, I don't know, I couldn't have got by without Charlotte and Aunt Connie. I just couldn't have got by without them. Charlotte likes to go with me when I go to Birmingham. If we go to Birmingham, it's already cut and dried. We go to Cracker Barrel or Corral, eat dinner.
Mm.
I buy our dinner. I fill her gas tank up.
Well, all right. This is all.
I'm enjoying life. I hope I live 3 or 4 more years.
Hope you live longer than that.
And I hope Reed lives that long. I don't know about what I'd do if it wasn't